Well, percenters, welcome back. The offensive genius of Nikola Jokic, thinking basketball. You guys wanted to see it, so here we go. Happy New Year, Chinese New Year, to my Asian brothers, my Serbian brothers, my basketball brothers. Let's go.
Nikola Jokic is the reigning MVP.
If I call myself a genius, is that cocky or confident? I don't know. Depends, I guess.
He still feels underrated or underappreciated or maybe just misunderstood. Call it what you will, but sometimes I feel like I'm watching a unicorn and being told it's just a goofy horse. Jokic is scoring. He's one of the best scorers in the world, but I never hear him mentioned in that discussion. He might be the best post-up scorer in the league with a broad arsenal of efficient
Joel Embiid's better in the post
moves. The old school drop step off a back down.
Joker is way more efficient.
An absolutely dead-eye fadeaway, and of course, a little spinning half hook that is buttery soft. In an era where the post-up is passé, Jokic is quick to attack mismatches against smaller players. As he twirls off this screen, his defender calls for a switch, and that leaves a point guard on the 7-foot Serbian, so he instantly backs him down.
God, I love it when he actually does that, when Biggs just exposed it right away.
And drops in a 10-footer.
Too little.
Since so many teams switch a lot, Jokic is a tactical nightmare. Play his screening action straight up, and he's nimble enough to score on the move. But if you switch to take away the cutters, he just abuses smaller players, walking the 6'5" Caleb Martin into the paint.
Take your time.
Brother schooling a
barbecue chicken.
According to Second Spectrum tracking, Joker ranks second in post-up points per game to Joel Embiid, although he shoots.
There we go. And you guys know I don't be watching all these stats.
59% on those shots compared to Embiid's 48%. Then there's his mid-range game where he's practically
if he works on that, as he gets older and slower, he'll turn into Dirk. He could play for 20 years.
In his fast 2-year stretch, Dirk shot just
bro. Me and thinking basketball are like twin brothers.
Between 10 and 20 feet. Jokic doesn't quite have the same volume because he's busy abusing people in the low post. But since in 2020, Joker shot 47.5%.
Step back.
2020, Joker shot 47.5% on nearly 700 mid-range shots. And as a friendly bonus, he's also made 38% of his threes since the lockdown, which means he can pull shot blockers like Rudy Gobert out of the paint.
Anything above 35% would be nuts.
Makes him a great pick and pop partner, floating to the three-point line and dropping in soft rainbows from the rafters. He can also play the pick and roll game, floating in teardrops like a guard, and his touch in the paint is so soft that sometimes it feels like he's lobbing stones into a pond. Speaking of soft, his hands are like giant pillows, and these one-handed catches help him as a finisher, and they help him as an offensive rebounder. In the last 2 years, Jokic is second in the NBA in second chance points, and we don't always think of this as part of a scoring game, but it allows teammates to fire up more shots. Then Joker one-hands misses like a water polo player for even higher percentage offense. So he can score in a ton of different ways near the rim, in the mid-range,
jiu-jitsu,
long range, which is why he's near the league leaders in scoring volume and efficiency, dropping 29 points every 75 possessions this year, 64% true shooting, giving him arguably the best scoring stats in the league right now. And yet his passing is better than his scoring. All of the all-time offensive greats appear to hurt defenses with scoring and playmaking, and Jokic is no exception. The man makes every pass in the book, including mind-bending outlets when his guards leave.
That's legitimate in water polo.
Entry passes are a dying art, but Joker is single-handedly resurrecting them.
That's ball manipulation. So one-handed. Okay, looks like he's going to throw it here, and then he adjusts. You could literally see him adjust, and he throws it a little higher instead to the outside. The GOAT retired, Tom Brady.
Resurrecting them. They can appear simple, But even today's best passers can struggle lobbing entries around a fronting defender.
No,
Here's Jokic making
that's not That's not Luka's fault. That's not trusting your receiver. Yes, he has the mismatch, but he doesn't trust him to catch it. Boban's too slow. This guy moves around.
Defender. Now here's Jokic making the same pass, only with a nearby defender on the backside, and he just feathers in a perfect completion.
You got to give love to Aaron Gordon and Jeff Green for always being ready to catch it, and they have great hands.
Even more impressive, Aaron Gordon gets the seal right now. Jokic is ready to loop it over the defense, and he has the smallest windows with Tobias Harris.
I've talked about it a million times, right? What makes a great pass? Great time, right touch. What the hell am I talking about today? Right time, right type, right target.
Closing in, but it's a perfect pass and a layup. If you cheat over too much to help on any entry, Jokic just whips it cross court into the corner for a jumper instead.
Hold the safety with your eyes. So he's measuring, he's counting, he's looking here. This guy sucks in, and this is a no-look pass, basically. I tell you guys, passing is the most important skill in basketball all the time. Come at me. I used to think it was shooting, but passing is just passing to the rim. Passing is the most important skill, and it's rarely ever taught.
Jokic just whips it cross court into
other than bounce pass, chest pass
for a jumper instead. Not since the great Bill Walton have we seen someone dime up so many cutters from the top of the key. And Jokic's connections are more mobile than many of Walton's were.
I think Bill Walton was a good passer. I actually think Pau Gasol was a much better big man passer.
Here's a basic.
He just didn't do it as much.
Corner, and Jokic looks at Will Barton, but he's waiting for this defender to commit so he can drop it in the basket for Jeff Green. Imagine trying to defend this. Terry Rozier is glued to Green. He has his hands up in the passing lane, and it doesn't matter because Jokic bounces it through a keyhole. Emmanuel quickly is locked in and ready, jumping.
I always talk about putting pressure on the quarterback. This is Mason Plumlee's fault. He's guarding, Jokic off, right? He's trying to guard for Jeff Green cutting here. So the problem is this guy has to come help. Obviously, the problem, if this guy comes in to help, you're going to give it to Morris. So when I talk about defense and offense and life in general, it's all about risk management. Do you give up this cutting layup to Jeff Green because he can drop that dime? Do you give the open pass, the open shot to Monte Morris? What do you do? Defenses have to figure it out, and they have to scheme about what they want to give up and what they will allow and not allow. But I sure as hell am not giving up easy layups to Jeff Green.
Emmanuel quickly is locked in and ready. Jump.
Same thing here. So what would I do? Right, this little screen here. You'd rather force Joker here to do something off the dribble, pull up a three. So I'd back off, stunt back. Right, I'd leave Campasso to finish in. I wouldn't leave these other guys. Right, I would dare Joker to pull a pull-up three or him to pass it to Campasso. I wouldn't give any other options to these other guys, but literally you have to scheme these things all the time. The schemes will be different come playoff time, and the players will be more locked in on what they will allow and won't allow. But regular season, he can pick apart teams easily. Right, he's too little to even double team Joker out here. He's just going to see right over him.
To take away the pass, staying in the passing lane, and
see, like right here, you should have just stayed on him instead of going back to Campasso. What's Campasso going to do here on the elbow?
That just leaves him wide open for three when he's the roll man, and that just switch.
So right here, stunt, right? You did a great job to make him pick up the ball. So then you got to get back as soon as this guy recovers. Who is that? Nerlens Noel. He has to step up. Where you just got to stay here and make him pass over you.
To take away the pass, staying in the passing lane, and that just leaves him wide open for three. When he's the roll man or in pick and pop, Jokic makes the elite.
This is much harder to guard.
Passes his point guards can't make. The best playmakers hit the roll man themselves.
I would have done a left hand behind the back, but that's just me, bro. I'm fancy.
Jokic's shooting has pulled his defender out of the paint. So he's the scorer, spacer, and passer at the same time. This one's more of a
Very
roll than a
bad,
pop.
man.
And almost no big man these days is swarmed at 18 feet, but two guys go to Jokic, and that's fish in a barrel for him. Of course, he can become the lead guard himself, receiving the ball screen, then snapping one-handed deliveries to the roller.
This is when he's actually at his worst. You want him being the ball handler. You actually don't want Jokic dribbling. Little guards can mess him up, and then he has to force to dribble and stuff like that. He can do it, but this is actually his worst position when he's
then
off the dribble.
One-handed deliveries to the
Not
roller.
that it's bad. It's just his
have
worst
the
one.
Flashy handle of typical point guards, but he'll make incredibly tight, advanced passes off the dribble. And he's a slow motion savant.
So
advanced passes.
A very common thing that people don't understand, there's these things. If you guys don't know, I'm a psychologist, I'm a personal trainer, basketball coach. So I got a pretty wide background. I also do a lot of investing. There's these things called mirror neurons. Yeah, it's getting geeky. Mirror neurons. It's like when I yawn, like, oh, you might just have yawned. So when you're playing basketball, if you understand, if you're tall and walking around all lazy, these guys, they mirror you. So if you're down and doing a gazillion moves like Kyrie Irving, guys are always locked into him. Steph Curry, they're always locked into him. Since guys like Luka, Jokic, some of these guys that play at a real slow, real casual pace, players tend to relax because they're just mirroring him and they're playing tall, and it feeds right into what Joker wants to do. So these things happen a lot because he just kind of lulls people to sleep. Like, this is not an aggressive stance coming on this pick and roll. He's just kind of probing, kind of looking. Right.
Advanced passes off the dribble. And he's a
mirror neurons
savant in transition, dropping no-look layup passes like this. And Joker saw it the whole way, recognizing that Aaron Gordon's defender is...
Boom. When I talk about the game's more football than anything, right? This is an option play for your best receiver. Is it an option, or is he going to go in? Is he going to break out? Right? You know, this whole backside is open. Okay, so as I'm Joker, I'm just waiting for Zach LaVine to make a read. I'm waiting for Aaron Gordon to get open, show me his numbers. I'm either just choosing to lob it, I'm choosing to rifle it, right? I'm choosing what to do. It's so easy. So easy.
Behind him, and he's just waiting for Zach LaVine to make a choice and then pin accuracy on the pass.
Right type, right time, right target.
Post, which might be unrivaled in league.
So this was a little bit off, right?
Post, which
but then, so if I go more about football, Super Bowl's coming up here in LA, it's going to be nuts. It's going to be packed. Right target, right? It's a little bit off target, but when you have great receivers, their volumetric, oh my God, I'm going into geometry today. Their volumetric sphere of their radius of where they can catch the ball, you have to understand that for every single player. I have a drill that I do with the boys. It's like, here's the full court, and I have them run full speed. I set up some barriers here, and these guys are running full speed, and I'm just having them go full speed and blast this thing to each other. And you would not, you definitely would not want to be standing here because balls are flying all over the place. Players are catching it behind, in front, spinning, falling all over the place. Balls are going all over the place because guys don't know how to pass. They can't read. They can't, pass off the dribble. They don't understand the timing because sometimes guys will run. Sometimes when you actually throw it hard, a dude can't catch. They can catch it from one side, not the other. Some guys catch it like freaking alligator hands. It takes time to build chemistry with your receivers. And that's why I say you got to give a lot of credit to Jeff Green and Aaron Gordon.
Unrivaled in league history. He constantly hits cutters that don't even look open. And if you try to double him, he'll just pick you apart wherever that open man is. This time the double comes from the baseline, and the
players are always open.
Jammed up, but that's child's play for you.
That is nasty.
Heck, if you even think about doubling,
the sling
makes you pay.
The sideways sling, that's what I'm calling that pass. You guys didn't help me out. The compasso pass, right? This left-handed sideways sling. I'll call that the sideways sling. I'm teaching that. I do teach it. I just never had a name for it somehow.
Joker makes you
sideways sling.
The floor is all
lefty.
Up, but that's
sidearm sling. Boom.
For Jokic. Heck, if you even think about doubling, Joker makes you pay. Zaire Williams is inching toward Jokic, who lasers a
sidearm sling.
And
Brett Favre, Mahomes.
My mind playing tricks on me.
Got to be able to change the launch angle, the trajectory of your pass.
Defense. This double leaves a lone defender on the weak side.
Like here, this is a bad pass out of Monte Morris. He's moving down. Joker's moving down. And he passes it behind. Joker with the great hands is smart enough to tip it to himself. Like, this is not a good pass. So he just saved Monte Morris a turnover. Josh Giddey thought he was going to get it. Right, you get exposed.
Defender on the weak
boom.
Side guarding.
Do you want to whip it around to Jeff Green or throw it over here to Barton?
Shooter, which buckles
oh my God! So he holds him, right, and then he looks at Barton to hold him again, and then he comes back in. So there's 3 different looks here.
Double leaves a lone defender.
Boom. So SGA slides down. He's ready for the steal.
Guarding 2. So Jokic looks toward the shooter, which buckles the defender and leads to free throws.
Yeah, he misses one there, right? So he looks down to hold SGA, and then after SGA slides, he holds SGA by looking at Will Barton, and then he throws this two-handed back to Jeff Green.
And leads
That's
to
cold.
Free throws. And this one is completely next level because he knows D'Angelo Russell likes to roam. This defender is worried about doubling him, and no one's ready for a pass right into the mouth of the Wolf.
That's easy.
This is transcendent all-time level mastery of a sport.
I do that all the time.
With legendary names like Bird, Magic, and anyone else.
And like,
a step ahead.
Have you ever done this in pickup? I used to like play a lot of pickup. If the guys, you kind of eventually play with all of them because I'm there at the gym all the time. And when I go through their legs, like guys get really, really offended. Some guys, they take it real personal that you go through their legs and they start coming back at you like, 1000%. But a lot of times I just do it and just, it's a bucket and I don't even, I'm not trying to clown them. I just see it. It's so easy for me to just throw it through their legs behind the back or pick and roll through the legs. If you see the windows, they're everywhere.
Jokic
and I see the windows everywhere.
Big man, sometimes on the same possession, which makes Denver really tricky to guard. It looks like he's going to post up here, but instead gets a down screen to fly off of like a wing, then sees a layup here, and that's nearly perfection.
That's nasty.
He's also great at
when I talk about playmakers, right? It's like the processing speed and then the ability to execute the right type of pass with the right timing.
Like he's going to screen and then slipping toward the hoop into open space. His sixth sense detects an opening here, so instead of screening, he dives to the hole and turns it into a 3-point play.
It's not a sixth sense. It's knowing these guys are lazy. These guys are lazy and they don't understand this switch happening.
Screening. Dives to the hole and turns it into a 3-point play. One number metrics that estimate impact aren't perfect, but they give us an approximate comparison of players from different decades. And Jokic's current season holds up well against other all-time greats, at least in the box score that's driven by offense. His influence on the scoreboard looks enormous too. The Nuggets' offensive rating in the last 2 years scoreboard looks enormous. So
here, when I talk about the right time again, so if he takes one more dribble, this pass is not there. A lot of guys, they're going to try to bounce this. They're going to try to bounce this through here. They're going to pick up the ball, or they're going to bound out to get space to throw this lob. What Joker does great is he's changing the angles of these passes. So this pass, it looks like he's about to shoot it. He lobbed it like that off of his right leg.
The last 2 years is a staggering 13.5 points better with Jokic in the game. That's the difference between the first and 28th ranked offense this year. His defense is outside of the scope here, but it's been good enough to help the injury Nuggets stay in playoff contention. And if we look at how teams perform with their best high-minute player on the court, Denver would be the 8th best team in the league with Jokic in the game. But when he goes to the bench, Denver looks like the 3rd worst team in the league. Personally,
that's huge.
like to see a few more playoff runs before sorting out his place in history. But this is a unique generational talent who sees the game like a savant, is a sneaky great scorer, and is in the conversation with the best passers ever. So, like I said, I'm not sure.
Best passers ever. I don't know, Jason Kidd, Chris Paul. Joker's definitely up there, man. There are some guys that like Stockton. They just run their stuff really, really well, but I don't think Stockton was able to see all the different windows.
Or if that's underrated, disrespected, or what we call it. But I do think we are watching one of the best offensive players to ever play basketball.
Okay, I agree with everything, pretty much. I think he missed a few little things in terms of passing. But when I talk about Joke, man, when I talk about the Joker, people do not want things to look easy. People want drama in their life. My wife watches freaking Housewives of everything. Real Housewives this, Real Housewives of this. The more effortless you make things, it seems unfair. Life seems unfair. KD, it's unfair. It's not fair. Like, he makes things look way too easy. People don't want simple stuff. Like, it's not sexy. Like, it's not the cool. You can't sell simple stuff. So when he has a couple of simple spins and passes and just a three-pointer, there's no flashy dunks, there's no screams, there's none of this. You can't create a compelling narrative about this guy other than he's really, really great. But who cares about the numbers? Like, your average fan is not going through all these numbers, watching Thinking Basketball, watching me. They're just kind of hearing it through the grapevine. Wow, did you see Joel Embiid's dunk? He's on a Twitter. He has a Twitter beef. People don't care. Like, they want to see Steph Curry do a little shimmy. They want to see LeBron, throw the chalk up in the air. Like, this is what people care about. Like, there's so much media sources to watch. And so if you can't create a story about Joker, he's not going to win MVP. He's not going to get as many accolades as he should get. LeBron, whether you hate him or love him, he's polarizing it, and that sells, right? People want this stuff. Like, you could hate him for, all his political stuff or whatever, Black Lives Matter thing or whatever, if you're that type, but you could love him for, opening up schools and being 18 and playing 20 years. He's old, like, greatest of all time. You can do whatever you want, but Joker, like, he doesn't do anything, bro. He doesn't stir up any emotion. Only time I can remember is when his brothers got mad at him or backed him up when when he hit that dude, Marcus Morris. So I told you guys, if you guys want to make this guy, known, he doesn't need to do it, but somebody has to hype him up. Somebody has to hype him up. They got to turn him into a villain, or they got to place him, Joker as the big bad villain. And actually, he'd be the good guy. Embiid is the bad guy. Embiid's more of a clown, so he's much more likable. Greek Freak, he's on his Twitter talking about his girl and eating Chick-fil-A and stuff like that. What is Joker doing? Not gonna lie, man, he's probably the best player in the game right now, but nobody cares, and that's the sad thing. Only the purists care. If you're here, for sure, you probably agree. But like I said, if you guys want more attention on Joker, the NBA is not going to do it, man. He's just a white, not even white. He's Serbian, but he looks white. So these are like things that people don't care about right now, dude. Like a white, slow, I know he's Serbian, but this is America. This is a white, slow, American looking, right? People probably don't even know he's from Serbia. What else? Like, I don't want to get into politics, but this ain't it, man. This is not, checking those boxes. This is not diversity inclusion. Oh, wow. I didn't know I'd end up there. Until next time, guys, let me know what you think, man. Happy Chinese New Year. Sorry for the bad audio. I hope this one comes out better on the last video. Until next time, take 14 minutes, 24 seconds, or 1% of your day to get better. Peace.